Friendly squirrel and the harmless rabbit. I'm gonna use you guys to do my dirty work for me. Freeze, go for hello everyone, it's Charlton, and so in Chatsworth, Georgia, police tasered an 87-year-old woman. Martha Al-Bashara, 87 years old. She was across the street from her own property cutting dandelions with a knife. She had a knife, and she was cutting it to cook with. They didn't grow in her own garden, supposedly, and she was over there just cutting some for one of she's from Syria. She's a Syrian. She's emigrated from Syria. She's a naturalized citizen since I think 2001, and I think there was an English barrier for sure. So in this article here, and this is the Daily Citizen. I think this is the local Daily Citizen News, Dalton, Georgia. You know, there's a video of the police chief, explaining what happened. He was actually there. Seems like a nice enough fella, for sure. He does, and it's not easy to explain. So let me just tell you the story here before I do. And I think what I don't think she speaks much English. My wife is Persian. You know, her mother-in-law who passed away a while ago. But like when she had a heart attack, I mean, the first thing she did was that ended up killing her. Not that day, but eventually. The first thing she did was call her daughter, because she knew she couldn't speak very good English. So only just a word here, a word there, and she could understand some. But so yeah, I think that's what was going on here for sure. And I think, according to this article, she was trying to say her son-in-law's name. You know, basically trying to tell him, tell the police somebody to contact that could explain for her. You know. So, but they tell her to put the knife down. According to the police, she's behind the Boys and Girls Club, which I guess is right across the street from where she lives. The chief says he actually visually displays, like, you know, I think he had a knife in his own holster that he pulls out and she illustrates for her to put the knife down, but she still doesn't understand, and she's smiling at him. I think that's what this, you know, because she's just like, you know, what's going on? I think. And but eventually she doesn't put the knife down, and she moves towards them. You know, I don't think in an aggressive manner, but is moving towards them. She has no clue what's going on, and they, I think, in my opinion, and then they taser her. So let me just quickly. It says the police chief of a small Georgia town is defending an officer who deployed a stun gun on a smiling 87-year-old woman, saying she refused to comply with numerous commands to put down a knife. Relatives of the octogenarian Martha Al-Bashara say police failed to use good common sense to prevent the incident from quickly escalating to a use of force confrontation in Chatsworth. I'd have to agree. I would. I'd say some common sense could have been used here. I understand that things can change in a moment, but an 87-year-old old lady, you know, you probably could have handled without the taser, I would say. So we have nothing but love for our country. This is the son-in-law. And that's who I think she was trying to, I believe that's the son-in-law. He's a med student. We have nothing but love for this country, but within that context, we think that what happened is absolutely ridiculous. Al-Bashara's grandson, Timothy Dune, a 24-year-old medical student. I don't think that's the son-in-law, actually. So she told us she was smiling at them to tell them that she wasn't a threat. Okay. And she was trying to get closer to them to communicate with them, and that's why they tasered her. Okay. So, and there she is there in the photo, and there's a picture of her in the hospital, I guess. Martha Al-Bashar shown receiving a hospital, recovering in the hospital after police officers used a taser on her. So the grandson continued, my grandmother is a human being who they didn't have any patience with. What happened to Mayberry, he said, referring to the fictional small North Carolina town from the old Andy Griffith show. I didn't know that was North Carolina, the Andy Griffith show. And that's actually in the title of this, what happened to Mayberry. So, And then, so there was a 911 call. The incident occurred after Friday afternoon after police received a 911 call from a staffer at the Boys and Girls Club saying, this lady's walking around on the bike trail. She has a knife and she won't leave. She doesn't speak English. The caller told the dispatcher that the elderly woman did not threaten anyone with the knife. She's old, so she can't get around too well, the caller said. Looks like she's walking around looking for something like vegetation to cut down or something. Okay, and so then it continues. You know, she speaks mostly Arabic. Dune, the grandson, said his grandmother, who has 9 grandchildren and immigrated to the United States from Syria nearly 2 decades ago, speaks mostly Arabic. She told her family that when she was shot with the stun gun, she was telling the officers her son-in-law's name, Solomon Dune, a retired pastor, entrepreneur, and former school science teacher in the area, in hopes they would contact him. He said his grandmother, who became a naturalized U.S. citizen in 2001, along with her 96-year-old husband, lives across the street from the Boys and Girls Club. I think that's right where the incident took place right there. So, and over here at the chat, it says, if they would have approached her with an open hand rather than their guns drawn, she would have handed the knife to them right away, said grandson Timothy Dune. My grandmother is the most kind, generous-hearted woman. You don't tase an 87-year-old woman. She was not a threat. If anything, she was confused and didn't know what was going on. It was a ridiculous turn of events. If the 3 police officers couldn't handle an 87-year-old woman, you might want to reconsider hanging up your badge. But she was charged. She was charged with Martha Al-Bashara was charged with criminal trespass and obstruction of justice, both misdemeanors. She was released on her own recognizance after family members said she spent 2 hours at the Murray County Jail. There is body cam footage of it, but the chief Etheridge said they won't release that while it's currently under investigation. And but I expect that those are going to be those charges are going to be dropped. But I don't know. You never know. And that's pretty much the story there. He explains here very nicely. Seems like a nice enough fellow. That that they had no choice. And at the very end he says, people say, why didn't you retreat? And and he's explaining because she was at an elevated position, and if they retreated, they might have fallen, and she could have gone over top of them with her momentum or something. And then he says, should we have gone hands on? And that's what I think I would have done. Is I would have gone hands on, and just slowly went up to her, even though I don't know, crazy stuff happens. That's the story there. That's the story. Thanks for watching my videos. Please subscribe to my channel. Give me a like down below. I'll see you in the next video. Freeze, gopher. Later, man.